I'm going through VHS tapes and I found interviews with like, I think is it the Barbarian? And he's like,
The wrestler?
yeah. Big balls man. Big balls man. This I promise.
Big balls man.
The Barbarian, yeah, because he's from like Fiji or something.
Oh my God. You can't understand anything he says at all. He's like, this is I get in red and this I promise. I'm like, what?
He sounds
Big balls man. Yeah, he does.
Balls man.
Big balls man.
Yeah, we recorded everything back then.
Oh my God. I'm going through all these tapes. It's just ridiculous. And we recorded the chorus of the Shogun Messiah song. They're like going, na 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 na. That's where you shout it out. Shout it out. Yeah. We recorded that over and over and over and over. Every time it was on, we recorded it because we hated it so much. We're like, record that again. Record it again. Record it again. And it's on that tape like every 5 minutes. Nah, nah, nah. I'm like, God, this is the worst. Now we gotta find it.
Which group is this?
It's Shotgun Messiah.
That's the band?
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear that?
Yep.
Is it too loud?
No. I mean, no.
I'll find the chorus.
It's always too loud with this.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh God.
What year is this?
I think that's 89. Maybe 90. Maybe 90.
It's too late for that shit. I mean, it was always that, but really.
Why do they sound like babies?
Why do they still play Jackal on Ozzy's Boneyard?
I don't know.
Why does that guy sing like that?
I don't know. Jackal. God. What was their big song?
I had
I have no idea.
They did.
Down on Me?
Yeah.
The Chainsaw song?
Yeah, the Chainsaw song is the one I know.
It's the Lumberjack, that's what it was called. And I think there was another one.
Yeah. They were on Headbangers Ball like constantly.
Jackal.
Some record exec was like all about them.
Mm-hmm.
They were not correct.
No. That's the best thing. Like all the stuff that we recorded back in the day, all the videos we thought were good, a lot of those bands stuck around because they were, good. And the stuff we hated is long gone.
We think.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Shotgun Messiah are still around.
Unless you go to the one, what is that? The M3 festival in Maryland they have every year.
Oh, is it like a hair metal thing?
Yeah. There's like 60-year-old women still dressed up like they're 17. It's like spandex and ripped open shirts. You're like, I don't want to see that.
No.
What are you doing? This is my favorite band back in 1984.
Yeah, Shotgun Messiah. Shout it out.
Hold on to your butts. Right there to our immediate left, we have all the books gathering for the annual Saxon concert.
You've got people who really are into the occult and into Satan. They're propagating Satan, and I think it's a devastating thing on our culture.
It calms me down.
What's your favorite total metal video?
Here's the funny part about metal. It's getting old. But you know what? Embrace it. I want to be that grandfather in the backseat of the car Could you turn on my station, please?
Such a fine line between stupid and clever.
And we're gonna be at the Wilson Theater tonight with Slayer. You're gonna be there too, right? Oh!
All right. Welcome back to Somewhere in Time Podcast, everybody. SomewhereInTimePodcast.com is where you find us online. Get to all of our stuff there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. All that good stuff. All of our episodes are streaming there. You can get shirts and cups. No, not yet. We're not quite there.
No. Cups.
No. All right, so we're back. We got another 1991 album, continuing our run of albums from the year 1991. This episode, we're going to talk about the album Arise by Sepultura. But before we get into that, let me do some introductions here. So I am Eric. We've got Tim here.
Hello.
We've got Joe here.
I am Joe.
Keith is here.
I am Keith.
All right, and we're very happy to welcome back to the podcast. We had him on once before. He is in the band Iris Divine. He's also in the band Eyes of the Nile, a DC area maiden tribute band. So we'd like to say hello to Navid Rashid once again.
What's up? Hey, guys.
Hey. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Good to be back. Good to see
you again.
Yeah.
I got skewered. I got skewered by my bandmates last time for trashing Paul Diano.
Well, and then Chris came back on and just, did
cleared his fair name, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. We've got a lot to talk about here with Arise, so let's play a little bit of this album to get started. You can play the opening track, even though it's got the nice long, weird industrial intro thingy.
You can skip that.
I will. So Sepultura is Max Cavalera, lead vocals and guitar, Igor Cavalera on drums, Paolo Jr. on bass, and Andreas Kisser on lead guitar. And this album was produced by Scott Burns.
Of course.
And
Scott Burns.
And mixed by Andy Wallace.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So let's why don't we start with the album cover?
Sure.
This is a very H.P. Lovecraft type feel going on with this album cover. Some freaky ass shit going on here.
Is that a crab on top?
Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to be.
It kind of looks like
lobster.
pretty much the alien from Watchmen.
I'd say so.
Seems like a very inefficient thing. Oh, there's like a stone bridge.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this album cover.
Yeah.
So is this animal sitting on a castle, maybe?
Yeah, I didn't really notice that until I was looking closer at this past week, just kind of preparing for this episode. I was like, there's actually a lot going on here that I didn't really notice before.
This the same guy that did the Beneath the Remains album cover, if I'm not mistaken. The same artist.
Okay. All right.
I think that album cover is better.
Really?
We talked about that album cover when we talked about Beneath the Remains. Remember that whole thing with...
This would be a good record to have, so you can see it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, hold it up close.
Agreed.
Yeah, because there's a little thing, like if you look to the lower right, kind of where those mushroom-looking things are.
There's like a person coming out.
Yeah, there's a person there, and then there's like behind it.
They're suffering.
Yeah, and there's a guy behind that looking like, kind of like Groot with his hand over his face. Like,
oh, look, there is. You're right.
This album is secretly part of the MCU.
That's disgusting.
And over on the left, lower, there's a skull off to the side.
It's not a skull, it's a face.
Yes.
With a horse, I think.
Yeah.
Or a dragon.
So the other thing I wanted to say about this album cover, the way the album starts, that the noises and shit.
Yeah.
I always thought that that's what you would hear if you were like walking into this scene.
Yeah, I thought
don't know if they were going for that, but
I kind of felt the same way actually.
Yeah, like the
it's
smoke
freaky and
is
weird
kinda
and scary and yeah.
I really tried to find where they, the samples for all the industrial stuff, all the weird mechanical stuff, and I've always loved that about this entire album, but I couldn't find shit about it. It's just everyone just keeps on mentioning how well they had toured with Ministry and it was inspired by all of the industrial they were listening to at the time. It's like, okay, and what the fuck is it? Because it sounds cool, but it's not really too musical. It's just kind of like background echo, like you're in some weird dystopian, like, industrial complex.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Cover illustration is by Michael Whelan.
Okay.
Just so you know. It's on the back.
Nice.
I'm disappointed you don't have the vinyl.
Me too.
You gotta fix that.
I know. There's the remastered version that came out, I guess. I'm not sure when it came out, but that's what's on Spotify. And there's stuff on there that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Didn't listen to that version, I guess.
You didn't?
I mean, I've listened to my version, the version I've had for God knows how long,
30 years?
Oh, so
no, I bought it.
Part of that makes sense to me.
I believe I bought this on half.com, if you guys remember that.
Nice.
Oh my God. Wow.
I remember that site. Yeah. Nice call.
Jeez.
Nice
Or Audio
throwback.
Galaxy.
1999.
Half.com.
Well, there's 4 bonus tracks on the remastered, re-release, blah, blah, blah version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of them's Orgasmatron, which I think we've all heard.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're pretty familiar with
the
that.
Motorhead cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's great.
Which was, I mean, I heard that song before I heard the Motorhead song. So
Did you really?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Well,
too.
maybe not. I mean, I'm pretty sure I did, but maybe not.
Well, if we want to get into the song is specifically about religious war and people trying to, according to this quote from Metal Hammer in April 91, people ready to kill other people just because they believe in a different kind of God. The funny thing about it, though, that I got a quote from Max about it. It's about war, and it's really powerful. And I love the chorus, under a pale gray sky, we shall arise. Of course, it came from U2's Under a Blood Red Sky. I totally ripped that off from U2 there. Please don't tell anyone.
Nice.
So let's talk about the influences of U2 into this album.
Yeah, really.
You can really hear it at the beginning,
Yeah, they're very apparent.
I hear that industrial, I'm about to get
never would
beaten
have
by
guessed.
my
I never would have guessed. No, absolutely not.
my totalitarian masters. I figure U2's in the background.
Right.
Well, we can move on from the album cover. Production?
It's good.
Yeah, I think it's good overall. I think the bass is a little buried in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
The mix-wise, it's a little...
It is.
Yeah, you can't...
I think Scott Burns did the last one too, right? Didn't he do Beneath the Remains?
He did.
I actually prefer that one. I think it has more clarity. I've heard people speak very positively about the production on Arise. I didn't like it as much. I liked all the tones and stuff better, and the drum sounds and everything. I just thought Beneath the Remains had more clarity to it. For me,
Kind of funny.
the songs still translate just fine, but just sonically.
The big difference in way of production, Scott Burns went down to Brazil because he'd never been to the country before. So he actually recorded Beneath the Remains with them in Brazil and gave them some kind of big discount, apparently. But for this one, he flew them into Tampa and they had much more time. Igor commented that, he actually had, a week to just kind of set his entire drum set up.
Right.
There's actually, if anyone wants to search on YouTube, there's 2 sessions of a video of this recording. It's boring as hell because it's for anybody who hasn't been in the studio. It's not some kind of big party where everybody's like drinking and doing drugs. It's actually work, and you're trying to make sure things look right. So it's boring, but there's pretty much like an hour and a half of recording from the Arise
cool.
sessions.
That's cool though.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah, according to the band, the experience there was so much better because they just had a lot more. Everything was being here in the States. They were still kind of new to the area, so they were very concentrated in getting things done. While down in Brazil with the previous album, they were not as concentrated, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say for better or for worse, it sounds like a lot of the death metal albums that were produced in Florida at the time. This was recorded at what was the studio?
Morris Sound.
Yes, Morris Sound. And that's I guess a big studio for a lot of bands down in Florida. And it kind of has that sound.
It was huge for the death metal thing, and I agree with you. And I think that's probably the thing I don't like as much about it. There's something that's very mid-rangey. There's something I can't put my finger on it, but I just like the last one a bit
That's
better.
kind of how I felt about the guitar sound. It's too I said it was too hollow. Like it's not as bright as I compared to the KSID. Like I listened to KSID before.
Was Spiritual Healing recorded there too?
Probably.
Maybe.
The production reminds me of that.
I would imagine band, right? Death,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Death. You figure half of their stuff might have been recorded there.
Yeah, it was recorded there 2 years before.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
same producer too, right?
Probably.
I bet you it was.
Did Scott Burns do KSAD?
No, Chuck Schuldeater did it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Andy Wallace. I think
Andy Wallace
did KSAD.
I
Yeah,
think that album sounds
right.
much better, personally.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's. I mean, there was also a whole stylistic, philosophical thing there, right? I mean, just with the songwriting and everything.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That was one thing I was surprised about with this album. Just looking at it and going and reading some reviews and user comments and whatnot. They said a lot of people said this is the pinnacle of Sepultura because it was, I guess, in terms of their glory years of thrash and mixing thrash and death metal.
I want to hear what Navid's about to say.
I've read the same thing. You know what's funny? I love Sepultura. Just putting it out there, they're like a top 10 band for me. I'm very, very connected to those three albums, kind of Beneath the Remains through KSAD, and I'd say about half of Roots I think is pretty amazing as well. And then whatever. But like that's like just some of my absolute favorite metal ever. It hits sort of an emotional chord in me of some kind. I just really love it. But my introduction to this band was Beneath the Remains in high school. Had the cassette on my Walkman, the whole deal. I got totally obsessed. I think I maybe didn't fully give Arise its due. Like Arise felt to me sort of like a transition between Beneath the Remains and Chaos AD. And you can hear it in some of the songwriting choices and some of the riffing and stuff. And like some of the thrashers on Arise, like Murder and Subtraction, they felt like kind of a little bit more like filler. I hate using that word because it's all good music. But I'll tell you, I revisited the album for this, and it actually has held up for me better than I thought. Like some of the stuff that I had sort of not really paid much attention to, like, man, there's some awesome riffs on here. So I'm sort of coming around a bit to some of the album cuts. That's more than maybe, I mean, because everyone knows the big tracks, Dead Embryonic Cells and the title cut and all that stuff. But like, you know, everything kind of holds up. But the neat thing about this album for me is the slight transitional groove parts that you didn't have as much of in Beneath the Remains, but they totally sort of like are showing the direction that they're headed in, right? Where Chaos AD was like almost more like a hardcore album in spots, right? Like it was very street, very like, you know, slowed down, groovy. And at the time when I first heard Chaos AD, I was underwhelmed because I like, you know, fast thrash metal. It's kind of like a little bit like hearing the Black Album for the first time, not exactly, but like, you know, that same, you know, the opening cut off the previous album was Blackened, right? Which is like phenomenal thrash metal. And then you get Enter Sandman. It's like, I mean, it's catchy, but it's not not what I was expecting. So, you know, Arise, the title cut like rips your face off. And then, you know, I mean, Refuse Resistance is an amazing song and I've come to love it. But like the first time I heard it, I'm like, why is it so slow? what's going on here?
Well, I think
did you hear Territory before the album came out?
Yeah, I don't think that I did. Yeah, and that one's a little better. It's got the double kick drums and it's got a little more going on.
I felt that way more about that song than when the album came out. We heard the first song. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Like, Refuse Resist, I love that right away. Territory was a little bit...
All of those took me a minute. And in fact, at the beginning, I was like, you know, I think the only one on KSAD, like maybe Biotech is Godzilla or something, is like a legitimately like fast song. Like there aren't many of them, right? But, and maybe that little middle bit of Refuse Resist, but that really just sounds more like punk rock, honestly. But, But yeah, so it took me a minute with that one. I really came to love it. But this was great for me because I just forgot about some of these riffs and parts on Arise that are really pretty great.
Yeah, it's weird.
I said if there's one band that truly evolved from album to album, it would be this. Like, you look at Beneath the Remains, it's awesome thrash. You get to this album, it's thrash, but there's elements of like groove and different things. And then you get to KSAD, and it's like now you're at the pinnacle.
And then you go to Roots, and it's like a totally different band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but the big thing, the one thing we've been talking about reviews for this album, and I've read a ton of them because so many people were complaining that it was either it's a band that's both kind of a death metal band and a thrash band trying to do kind of death thrash, and some of them were complaining it was too thrash, the other ones complaining it was too death, but especially with what Eric just mentioned, like the additive that groove that I'd say is kind of more, it always felt like kind of, Vulgar Display of Power, that holy fucking hell, you just hit that like bridge, you get into that groove, and it fucking just runs a steamroller over your fucking head. And it's,
do you guys feel like this album is death metal at any point?
No. I don't think, the only thing for me, I mean, I know earlier,
it's his vocals, it's the Cookie Monster vocals.
But the vocals.
Even that,
Beneath the Remains, I think they had a little more of a death metal vibe, and I think the one thing that persisted is his vocal style. But even that, to me, I think death metal is a stretch. Honestly, I think there are people thinking about schizophrenia or bestial devastation or whatever, but I don't hear this is pure thrash to me.
I think for me the difference in his vocals is he's got kind of that guttural growl going on, but you can understand most of what he's saying. Like
absolutely.
Death metal is just nothing but growling and I can't.
Yeah. No one would ever convince that dude for a death metal vocalist on Arise. Like I can't even hear that.
No. Yeah, and there's a particular type of guitar riff that I equate with death metal too. That single note,
tremolo picking, all that stuff. There's none of that. Yeah. None of that. Yeah. It's not like that at all. It's very thrash to me.
What you said, Navid, is what I said too. That just my memory of it was there were filler tracks and they were great tracks, and then I came back to it and I was like, man, this is better than I remember it being.
That's exactly how I felt. And like the one spot everybody points out when they talk about where they felt the evolution from the thrash to the groove metal is in Dead Embryonic Cells, where everything stopped, that's like the real famous one. But actually, again, listening to this album again, there's several spots on some of the other songs where you get these like awesome slowed down kind of groovy riffs. I just sort of forgot about some of them that, and they really, really did a nice job, I think, bringing that in the mix. And like you were saying, it's that steamroller effect, right? It's like you're thrashing along and then all of a sudden it like punches you in the face and you're just like, nodding your head and all that. It's very effective. All the changes are very effective.
Yeah, that slow part in Dead Embryonics. But I just got to say, Tim, I thought that was Shakira behind
you. Ooh.
Different South American person.
Yeah. Well, she is Brazilian.
Is she Brazilian?
She's Colombian.
Colombian. All right.
Well, let's play a little bit of that Dead Embryonic Cells. Specifically, we can play that part we're talking about.
Pay attention to the bass in it. It's smartly done. You can kind of hear it.
Oh, 308.
There it is.
Yeah.
Right here.
That's China.
Yeah. This album's full of, this album's full of China.
Yep.
You hear the bass isn't following the guitar. It's following the drums.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Very good stuff.
So I have to mention real quick.
Yes, you do.
The band Mucky Pup. I don't know if you know Mucky Pup. Okay. They did a song called I Am, and they used the same riff, basically, right?
They basically reversed it.
Yeah, let me see if I can play a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Did that album come out this year? That same year?
Yeah, that's 92.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But they admitted they stole that.
Yeah. I think they even gave him credit on the album or something. Yeah. They kind of have to, right? Like, it's the same thing.
They're like, we just took that Sepultura riff and reversed it. And they flat out admitted it.
Yeah.
Alrighty there, Vanilla Ice of metal. What is the significance? Monkey Puff, did they have for some reason I thought like Mike Patton was in it or something.
No.
Is there anyone that was famous that was in it? All right.
No. They kind of had it was just a joke, kind of a jokey band, you know.
Yeah.
Their songs were very
That's the only album I ever really got into by then.
Well, we're talking about Sepultura.
Yeah, let's get back to it.
Well, you asked a follow-up question about him, so thank you.
So as I was listening to this album, I was wondering if there was any sort of like if they were trying to make a conceptual album at all, because I feel like a lot of the songs have the same kind of theme. Like
I think the concept was our country is a shithole. Here we go.
Yeah,
that's what they were trying to say.
Pretty much.
Probably not. There's no probably not any sort of truth to that. It seemed like a lot of the songs had the same kind of theme, but I don't know if Keith found anything about that when he was doing.
I mean, Murder is about South American, the penal system.
Okay.
You know, Altered State they specifically use kind of South American kind of influence in the intro to that, but
that's one of my favorites on the album.
That's a great song.
That is
great song.
God, so good.
I mean, yeah,
that's got more of that experimental stuff.
I've got like all the
Meaningless Movements is about
it's all pretty much stereotypical metal stuff. You know, it's about future generations are born dead in a world ruined by their own ancestors.
I think their
generations before.
I think their perspective was different though, coming from poverty in Brazil, or not? Well, yeah, and what's Sao Paulo? Isn't that where they're from?
Yeah,
and,
Sao Paulo.
Because I remember reading interviews and they would just shit on their country. Like something might cost $4 one day, and then the next day it's $40 because the inflation is so bad there.
Yeah.
Wow.
This place sounds fun. Get arrested.
All right. Other highlights for you guys. There's certain songs.
Desperate Cry.
Yeah, Desperate Cry.
Yeah.
The drums at the end of that song.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
I know.
Oh, yeah, I gotta play a little bit of that. Hold on.
Yeah.
So 5:35, I think I've got it here. Let me see.
There's a part that sounds like Fade to Black in that song too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No. I gotta at least get to the China.
The China is just action in China.
Yeah, here we go. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. All right, I can stop it there.
Go to 420 in that song.
Alrighty then.
420.
You said 420, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does.
Oh yeah, how about that?
Ride the Lightning.
Yeah, yeah.
I just going back and listening to the album though. For me, I didn't realize how good Andreas his solos are.
Yeah,
he's got some fucking awesome solos on this album.
Yeah, that was another note that I made about the evolution. It's in the soloing too. Like his guitar solos are a lot better on this album than previous.
You know, it's really interesting in some ways, and you know, they've got their own thing going on as far as the evolution towards the tribal stuff and all of that. But in other ways, they do follow the trajectory that thrash bands have tended to follow, right? I mean, you sort of take the thrash thing as far as you can take it. You're cramming riffs into every song. Things are going fast. It's technical. And then you pull it way back, right? Whether you're talking about Black Album, Countdown to Extinction, Low, right? It's the same thing. Like, you know, you get to a point where you want, or maybe the Ritual is a better example.
Even the Ritual,
like, yeah. You know, you do all the thrashy stuff and then you decide you're going to pull it back and do something different. And from this to Chaos AD was a really big change, right? Chaos AD, you talk about the solos. Number one, the tempos are way slower. Number two, Andreas is not doing melodic, like, you know, typical metal lead stuff like Randy Rhoads style or whatever. It's a lot more like noise kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, you know, like wah-wah abuse and like noise stuff and like using the guitar more for effect. There wasn't very much shred
right
on Chaos AD, right? And so that you can, you know, again, it sort of follows that evolution of focusing less on technicality, right? And getting more into like, you know, sort of creating a certain kind of sonic, I guess, atmosphere, so to speak.
Yeah. Plus, you know, you're probably as a musician, you're like, well, I showed that I can do that. Let me see if I can do something different now.
I think
that's exactly right. I mean,
probably the impetus by the whole change on all these bands, but
and also it's what's appropriate to the songs, right? I mean, you know, that kind of lead playing would sound a little silly on a song like Refuse Resist, which is like, again, it's got that kind of hardcore. It's very street. It's very different. So getting all precious with a bunch of really like technical lead stuff would sound a little weird.
I've never had a problem with that as a guitar player. Like guitar players trying new, different stuff. Like people point to Dimebag and say, I don't like what he did on, you know, Reinventing the Steel because he just abandoned his amazing leads. He, you know, played with the pitch shifter and shit like that. And I don't care. It's I'm more of a riff guy anyway. Like I want to hear awesome riffs more than I want to hear awesome solos anyway. So.
Right.
For me anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. Getting back to some of these songs, I mean, we didn't really talk about Arise too much, but
I did notice more. Also, that Igor, he does a lot of that cheating double bass on this.
Oh, that's just
the little like the triplets and the snare thing. I didn't realize he did that so much.
He does the weird thing we talked about when we talked about Beneath the Remains, where he'll skip a snare beat.
Yeah.
Which is super weird. I don't know why he does that. It's so weird.
I was going to mention that too. I love that. It's such a. I've never heard anybody else do that. It's such an odd thing, but it's all over Beneath the Remains. It's a little bit less on this album, but it's like all over that album. I love that. It's so odd and like just different, but I think it's cool.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a mental crutch, like in his brain, he's getting himself back in sync somehow. Because if you're air drumming, it is a lot easier to get back into sync. It's like I can skip that one hit there, and then it's like that's so much easier.
The other thing too that makes Sepultura special is, you know, Max Cavalera is really good at working vocal hooks into things. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, and again, this is someone English is a second language, but somehow he like makes it work. Like, you know, I See the World Old, I See the World Dead should be kind of dumb.
Yeah,
but. You know what I mean? It just sounds very elementary. It sounds like something like a seventh grade kid would write in his notebook or something, right? But in his hands with his vocal delivery and where he puts it in the song, it becomes this like awesome, like anthemic thing, right?
Yeah. What other bands didn't rhyme? You know, it's so rare to run into even like a single song by any band that doesn't, and none of this shit does. And of course, it makes total sense, seeing as, you know, English second language.
Right.
I was reading they were still like pretty much learning English when they were doing Schizophrenia. You know,
well, I saw some credit from. I was looking at this album, like the liner notes. It said someone had a credit of like and translation or something, like English translation. I'm like, oh wow! So I guess they wrote all the lyrics in their native
Scott
language.
Burns and Fletcher McLean.
Yeah, I was mentioning the YouTube video of them recording this. If you watch that, you actually can hear them do Dead Embryonic Cells with different lyrics.
Oh, nice.
And it's crazy to think about that.
Are they English or are they Portuguese?
They're English, but I can't really make out what the hell he's saying. It's not the exact same thing. And you gotta, you know, reading interviews with other, you know, with we were talking with Tommy. You know, he was talking about, you know, a producer would be in there saying, "Hey, change this, whatever." I wonder if, you know, the producer of this one, you know, said, you know, "Hey, change that up a little bit," and then, you know, it turned into. I mean, I think the lyrics of that song are brilliant.
He has credits for lyrical and translation assistance.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah.
But yeah, I See the World Old, I See the World Dead. Like when Max sings it, it's like this, like it's like the opposite, the underworld version of Moses climbing up onto a mountain. Scream this out. Yeah, it wouldn't work if Dio did it.
Yeah, right.
Unless he said "look out" afterwards.
Well, then.
That's right. He had to throw a rainbow in there somewhere.
I see the world with rainbows.
That's right. But
I hold my sword.
But Max Cavalera in that way, I think, is very important to the band overall. Like his vocals are just really, I mean, they're just really cool. You know, I think that does a lot. You know, like like other thrash bands are cool. Like things like Metallica, Megadeth, like Big Four. I think there's maybe a little more happening in the way of like melodicism vocally a little bit, especially as they progressed. I mean, I don't think that's really in Max's box of tools.
This is not a bag of tricks.
He just does one thing, and he's been doing every band. Soulfly, it doesn't matter. It's like the same thing, but it like never stops being cool.
Yeah.
Like I just love it. I love hearing him bark out stuff that's just like totally random, but it just sounds so good.
And if anyone else did it, they would have been like,
yeah,
fuck you, no talent hack.
Yeah, totally. But he totally really, it's just very effective. Like, I'll give you an example of a band like Creator. I like Creator. I'm not nearly as big a Creator fan as I'm a Sepultura fan, but like, Millie Petrosa's got a cool voice, but it's not, iconic to me in the way that Max Cavalera. It's like, no matter what he says or sings, even if the song is kind of lame, like it's just a little bit cooler when he's the one doing the vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Max doesn't have quite a range. Like you're not gonna say Max's range is, but he's got more of a range than Millie though.
Yeah,
Millie's got like one.
Yeah, he just does one. He just basically does one thing, but he just does it well.
Yeah,
and he really
very German of him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of just switching gears a little bit back to Igor. A lot of awesome China on this. It's like he discovered the China on this album.
It is.
Like he's like, oh yeah, I have this symbol. Because they're like all over the place. There's these like subtraction.
Also, you're getting a little more of the toms, not full on tribal, but you can tell he's starting to
the fills are like
use other parts of the drum kit and stuff like that, and then you see that get pushed in the subsequent albums.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you take down the time on subtraction where he does the China thing, Eric? Because I took notes.
Yes. Yeah. I'll play a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I love that. Kind of the off time.
Yeah.
There's that poopy bass though.
Yeah. The bass sounds good when it's by itself. Just can't really hear it. Guitar.
Oh. All right, I can't keep playing that. This freaking awesome.
Those riffs.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Yeah, that's another really good one. Subtraction.
Yeah.
And he says searching for the ants were in that song.
Yes, that's right. The ants were.
The other thing, actually, speaking of Max's range or lack thereof, or sort of he does the one thing, there is a little bit of tiny, almost melodic vocal on this album, which I'd completely forgotten about. It's the only time I've ever heard him do it. I want to say it's on Meaningless Movements, maybe. Let me see if I can find it. It's like
I want to hear this. Something I missed.
That was one of my Meaningless Movements, and well, first of all, the beginning of Meaningless Movements reminded me a little bit of Evil Thing by Danzig.
I found it.
Oh yeah, where do you have a time?
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, 2 minutes and 5 seconds of Meaningless Movements. Check this out. He actually kind of sings. Yeah.
Okay.
Step aside, Rob Halford.
Yeah, he's doing some stuff there.
Right.
Little bit of vocal harmonies, like tiny.
Yeah,
bit
like I don't think I've ever heard that from him ever. I was like, I totally forgot that even existed.
Yeah.
Send that into the voice, man.
The start of this song, though. Does that sound like something else? To me, it sounded a little bit like Evil Thing by Danzig.
Oh.
You know?
It just ends with the twang a little bit.
I don't
know.
I don't know. Maybe there's something else I'm thinking
of,
of, but that's what it reminded me of.
Play the other one again.
I don't know.
They end on the same note.
Well, now I feel like it sounds like something too, but I don't know what. I don't think it's a Danzig song though.
Yeah, maybe something else. I can't place it. Yeah, I'll hear it like 2 years from now and go, that was it.
Yeah, you will. You definitely will.
Who here listened to the Desperate Cry Scott Burns mix?
I did.
I did not.
Could you fucking tell any difference? I have no idea what the difference is.
Maybe the bass drum was a little bit poppier, like snappier.
The stupidest. It was like,
but
wow, great.
Yeah, it wasn't really. It was the same thing, pretty much.
From the '97 remaster. But yeah, I was like, what? Why? That's cheating.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see these guys live?
Yes. Oh yeah,
yeah.
2 times. That's a sore spot for.
Wait. No.
Well, I would have seen them a lot more of them live if I hadn't gotten a ride with a bunch of jack-offs that had to have a piece of shit car that was Eric, or were you or Tim? Tim, you were in the other car, right? You were driving. Who was driving that car? The caravan.
Wasn't me.
It was Tim or Eric.
No,
it was a Ford car.
Oh, the Aerostar.
The Aerostar. Yeah, it was the Aerostar. Yeah.
It was me. Yeah,
it was the Aerostar. Joe and all the rest of them were all like, we don't want to see Biohazard. We're too cool for Biohazard. So we waited, and I'm like, all right, fine. I don't give a shit about Biohazard. So we're on our way to Merriweather, and all of a sudden, what was that? The tread of my tire just fell off, so we pull over and had to change the tire onto a donut. And I mean, I feel like there were like 10 people in the car at that time. But one way or another, we finally get there. We're rushing in. We're like sprinting to get through the gate, because we're extraordinarily late. Pretty much, we've got to see about 3 Sepultura songs.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
That sucks. I saw them on. I saw them on Chaos AD with Fear Factory, which was awesome, in a roller rink.
Oh my god!
Wow.
And when I was in high school in Pittsburgh.
Oh, was it Ross Draver Ice Garden?
No, it was called City Limits or something, and I think it was like a roller rink by day, and then I guess they brought bands in or whatever. But it was really pretty great.
Yeah,
I think Hammerjacks was the best. Yeah. One of the best shows we ever saw, because we were on the balcony at Hammerjacks, right above Igor. So we got to watch Igor doing his shit all night. Oh my god, it was amazing.
We got to see the guy fall behind the tapestry.
Yeah,
that's right.
3 stories down onto the drum riser.
And Igor looks, I was like, "What the fuck's going on back there?
What? So weird. Somebody died here?
No, I didn't die.
He might have later. He was. I think he was too drunk to have any pain at that point.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm now thinking about, just in terms of historical context, like, because, I mean, Sepultura is sort of like, they're sort of out on their own, right? I mean, like, you talk about the German Big Three, and you talk about the, the Big Four in America or whatever.
Wait, who are the German Big Three?
Creator, Sodom. And, who's the other one? Creator, Sodom, and Destruction.
Halloween.
Destruction.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. So those 3 are sometimes referred to as the Big Three of German thrash, right? Yeah, right. But Sepultura, they always sort of like they were sort of out there on their own, and in a way, actually, because what they did on Chaos and Roots was, I think, more unique. I think people tend to focus on that era of the band. And I think sometimes maybe their pure thrash stuff, like Beneath the Remains and Arise, maybe doesn't quite get its due when you talk about just the great thrash metal, right? I mean, I don't know. I feel like people really focus on Chaos and especially Roots because people have such, strong opinions about that album.
Yeah, it was weird when I looked at the reviews because I was seeing both of that. I was seeing people saying like they lost it with Chaos AD and the best thing they ever did was Arise. And the flip side of that was Chaos AD is their pinnacle.
Yep.
That's what they were meant to do, and everything else built up to that. So it's a strange thing. I guess it's
on top of the whole Brazilian thing, though. I mean, they were the very first Brazilian band to ever play Russia or to play Donington, Dynamo Festival in Holland.
Right.
They headlined Rock in Rio, which I believe was
wow.
I believe was on for Chaos ID. But they were the first real South American band that get hit globally. They played Indonesia, first Brazilian band to ever play in Indonesia, apparently. Or Brazilian heavy metal band.
Okay.
Which I believe is what really kind of globalized a lot of what they were doing, and I think expanded a lot of people's mindsets into. I mean, we all know I mean, let's face it, we're all Iron Maiden fans. We see everything that, whenever Maiden goes into like Central America or like anywhere in South America. I mean, those shows are. I love watching the audience in those live shows. I mean, freaking metal in you know, all of Latin America. It's like just insane. And it's, you know, let's face it, you know, as much as it didn't start with Sepultura, that really gave all of the rest of the world a little taste of what was going on down there, and like, maybe I should look at something else. And it's turned into.
But you know, the thing ultimately that's going to endure, I think, is it all comes down to the songwriting, right? I mean, like they made things catchy enough, and there's a real art, I think, to keeping something visceral and thrashy and heavy and sort of like gut level, but still making it just catchy enough. And I think they figured out sort of how to do that. And that's why, you know, globally, I think it was very listenable. It's very listenable music, as heavy as it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and the riffs are clear. You can make them out. You know what's happening. Everything is done with intention, right? It's not just like, it doesn't just sound like a bunch of kids just throwing stuff at the wall. I mean, it's very well thought out by this point.
Well, that's what the big difference for me and them comparing them to death metal. Like death metal it's almost like a one-trick pony type thing. Like there's not a lot of depth to death metal, in my opinion. And you know, like bands like Sepultura, who kind of went a little bit above that, and like you said, with the songwriting and just, you know, it's, to me, it's just a lot. I don't know. It's a lot better than that. I don't get the comparison, basically. But
I think the only reason why it gets brought up is just because of who would produce this album.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
and some of the guitar tones. There's some guitar tones, a little bit death metal-y. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, there's not much.
Yeah,
and where they came from. I mean, you know, schizophrenia and bestial devastation, that stuff. That's
that stuff
musically where they came from.
Yeah. Not where they live, but where they musically came from. Yeah, they have a death metal background. But
I mean, if they'd come from Tampa, then for sure they have to be a death metal band.
Yes, automatically death metal.
Or Norway.
Well, it's 9:30.
Oh wow! Already. Time flies. We're having fun.
Well, we're not kicking you out.
Yeah, no, that's
just letting you know.
Thank you for letting me know. Actually, I can't really look at my clock. Yeah, let me just take a peek at the situation.
Right.
Everything's under control.
Well, while he's doing that, I can mention one thing. You know, he mentioned earlier, or asked about lyric-wise. You know, if there's any kind of overlying recurring themes, and the stuff that Kisser wrote. He wrote "Infected Voice" and where is it?
Put your mic a little closer, Keith.
Kisser wrote "Infected Voice" and "Subtraction." Subtraction is about how people change over the years because of money or power. Infected Voice is he wrote about the fear of growing up and fear of progress and fear of making wrong decisions. So at least when it comes to his stuff or what he added to the album, it's a lot about aging and things like that. And of course, everything that, you know, Max wrote was about, you know, how bad Brazil is. And death, you know.
Yeah. That's funny.
It's weird that Max and Andreas never collaborated. Well, at least on this album, they didn't collaborate on any of the lyrics. It's either one or the other. It's about 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's.
But then again, they didn't get along much long after this either. So
I was gonna say, yeah, there's
right.
There's a lot of animosity.
Well, I mean, the whole, you know, wife thing came in there.
Well, there's a whole story behind that.
Yeah,
we'll get into that, but it's.
I mean, are we going to wait till Roots to get into that, or? Are we,
well, I think that's just a long ass story.
We're gonna talk about Roots.
That's a good album.
That's a good album. That's a good album.
We got a ways to go.
Yeah, I know. We got years before that'll happen. So
yeah.
Well, have any of you listened to the latest Sepultura album? I know Tim and I talked about it.
I haven't listened to anything. I've barely listened to Roots.
Very good. I'm not I didn't follow their career after Max left.
Yeah.
But when Tim told me to listen to, what was it called, Quadro or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, same thing. I hadn't followed them at all once they split with Max, but that new album is really quite good.
It is.
It's got some really good stuff. And you know, I'll tell you, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but in terms of writing credits on their classic material, I think Max Cavalera did the majority of the writing, correct?
I
the music writing.
I think so. Yeah,
majority. I'd say.
This just says Sepultura.
But Andreas, of course, is going to be doing the majority of the writing now because he's the sole guitar player and he really comes through with some great stuff. I mean,
and you talk about really, solos, like
great solos, but also great riffs. Like I mean, and they sound like they're keeping sort of the tradition, kind of their style and sort of the kind of melodic and harmonic kind of just the way they approach riffing and stuff like that. I thought it was really cool. But again, really just good. Not to beat the dead horse, but again, the vocalist is everything. Though I don't find Derek Green to be remotely memorable. He's a dude with like a good gruff voice, and he puts the songs across, but he doesn't have that character. You know what I mean? That gives it like its own personality, and that makes you want to keep listening. Like I listened to the album and I liked it a lot. I didn't remember much of that.
Yeah, I get that.
And to think he's been doing it for 3 times longer than Max.
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's so
I just remember that when not long after he was in the band, that I saw on some message board on the internet that they were talking about Sepultura, and somebody just commented, "The new Sepultura singer is bullshit." And that stuck with me ever since.
Yeah, and and again, and he's not bad. I mean, the thing is, objectively, he's not bad at all. But it's just it's not memorable.
Is it like Alice in Chains and their singer? Because I don't really dig.
I don't mind William Duvall at all. I don't
really get into their new stuff.
I think he's fine. I actually like some of their new stuff. I don't mind it, actually.
Black is Way to Blue is awesome.
They have a lot of good stuff.
Black is Way to Blue has some great songs on it. But the thing with him, William Duvall, I mean, he's no Lane Staley, of course, because Lane Staley was one of a kind, but he still has some kind of, there's something distinctive about his voice, at least, even if it's not the same as Lane Staley. Derek Green could be any number of, hardcore metal sounding dudes that, just like growlers. I mean, just there's nothing different or interesting about it.
I will say on the new album, he does some melodic stuff that's pretty good.
He does.
Like, there are the moments where it's like it gets a little more melodic, like the choruses are kind of these grand, huge, like booming choruses with him doing like these melodic stuff. And it's pretty good. I mean, I compared it to Devin Townsend Project. Like a lot of it to me sounded a little bit like Devin Townsend Project, and I love that stuff. So
I think I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I think
worth checking out.
You should check it out.
And give it a few listens.
It's called Quadra.
Quadra. All right, I've already added it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So,
and when you get into, again, when you talk about the big four, they had very distinctive vocalists. Not necessarily good vocalists. I mean, you can make the argument that they weren't all necessarily good, but they were distinctive and it was catchy. Even Slayer, right? I mean, Tom Araya is not much of a singer as far as I'm concerned, but it's distinctive, it's memorable, and it's the same thing. He can take a simple phrase and just the way he delivers it can make it sound like super cool.
He's perfect for that band.
Yeah. And that's the stuff that sticks with you, right? I mean, those are the little hooks. I mean, they're not necessarily melodic. I mean, Metallica obviously was much more advanced in the melody department, but like, Slayer's classic stuff has a way of sticking with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's it's memorable.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, like the chorus of Dead Skin Mask gets stuck in your head.
Right. Yeah, it totally does. There's not much to it. There's no technique involved per se. It's just, or even, I mean, War Ensemble, right? I mean, he's just like, just yelling basically, but just the way he does it is just so, and some of that isn't, it's just the tone that you're sort of born. It's just sort of the tone you're blessed with, right? You either sort of just have it or you don't, right? Yeah. It's just a quality of your voice. To give an example from a different genre, I don't know if you guys like Catatonia at all. I like some of their stuff a good bit. So Jonas, right, from Catatonia, that dude's probably got like a 5-note vocal range, but the tone of his voice is so cool that like no matter what he sings, it's got this like haunting, melancholic. It just sort of pulls you in. So for some people, it's just there's a certain tone that they have that's very pleasing to the ear, and you can really get a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I feel that way about Corey Taylor. Like, although Corey Taylor's an excellent vocalist, I really like his tone too.
I absolutely do not feel that way about Corey Taylor.
Okay, well,
but who was not a good singer is I don't think is Kurt Cobain, but he was one of the great rock singers. I mean, he's
There's a guy. I can't stand Nirvana, but I will totally recognize that vocally, I mean, he had a certain thing, and it was pleasing, and even as raggedy as it was.
It worked perfectly.
It worked perfectly, and it put the music across really well. My thing with Corey Taylor, I'm not a big Corey Taylor fan at all, but like I just the lightning in a bottle that he captured on the first Slipknot album, he never found it again, in my opinion. He sounded unhinged on the first album. And I liked the first album a lot. It never sounded that way. He never sounded to me again like he was like on the edge. Like there was just something about it.
I didn't really get back into them until the last album.
I never got into them.
Yeah, the first album's the only one I ever really done.
3 albums.
I prefer the. I mean, I like his screaming, but I prefer like the Volume 3 stuff where it's a lot of vocal harmonies and really cool.
Yeah, he's talented, no question. Like he can sing.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've gotten way off topic here. We're talking about Corey Taylor.
We always do. Often happens.
All right. Any other highlights from this album?
A historical question about Sepultura that I actually don't know the answer to is when we talked about Ministry a little bit, but like, at some point the outside influences really started coming in more, like the Deftones and Korn and all that. I mean, that was pre-Roots, but I'm kind of like, I'm trying to figure out when they were really starting to talk about being influenced by other sorts of sounds. Because, again, I mean, something like, Arise is still it's metal to the core, right? I mean,
yeah.
So I can't remember when, like in KSAD, I don't know if during that album cycle or during the interviews, they started talking about other influences and stuff, because you can start to hear it's changing.
Yeah, I feel like that was around that time.
I think
probably so. 93-ish.
I don't remember them talking about it a whole lot. At least not anything I read or
I don't know. The interviews I've read, in gearing up for this one, they actually talked a lot about the touring with Ministry and how much, kind of industrial kind of fed into kind of their, a lot of what they were listening to at the time. And I mean, and obviously you hear the whole thing is so much of that background, sound,
right.
I mean, it's not really part of the song. It's kind of this cool little intro thing.
It's like atmosphere.
Yeah, it's atmospheric. Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, that's a great adjective.
Don't they do that again on another later song on this album? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Oh, God damn it.
Is it Under Siege, is it?
I think it's...
Is it?
Is it Altered State?
It's either that or Under Siege.
Well, Altered State has a little thing in the beginning. Is that what you're talking about? Let me see. This little thing?
That sounds like Testament. Oh, yes. This is,
yeah.
It's more of the tribal sound.
Yeah, now you're starting. Yeah, there you go. There's sort of that a little bit of the foreshadowing of the tribal stuff, right?
Yeah. This song is so good.
So much better than Ministry.
Just that alone.
Yeah, that's better than any Ministry thing I've ever heard. Does Under Siege have an intro too? Did you know that was a single? I didn't know it was a single for the song.
I didn't either.
It's a bad choice.
This has a little acoustic,
weird choice.
Intro. Starts with a China.
Yeah, I can't believe it. A China.
And a snare.
China and snare. They almost sound the same.
Is this the first appearance of an acoustic guitar?
No, Desperate.
No.
That's a clean electric, though, isn't it?
Didn't Beneath the Remains?
Oh, that's like, I can't remember.
Did Beneath the Remains have a...
I thought it started with acoustic at first.
Yeah, that's got that intro, but I can't remember if it's acoustic or clean electric. That's a good point, actually.
I can't remember either, but it...
And there's a part of this song, though, that Max is just talking. He's actually he's reading a part from The Last Temptation of Christ.
Oh, nice.
And what he's saying, and he's saying how let's see here, part how it isn't fun to be a god, and the song itself is about how most people can't choose their religion, how it's forced them upon birth.
It's true.
One random piece of trivia we never talked about, and I got a couple of minutes and I got to go, but we didn't talk about Sepultura in that movie Reality Bites.
Oh, they were in that?
Okay, there's a scene. Yes, there's a scene in the movie Reality Bites. I can't remember exactly. Ben Stiller.
I know the movie. My sister loved it.
There's a scene where he's depressed and he's like couch surfing, like kind of just watching TV, and the Arise video comes on.
Ah, nice.
Does that cheer him up?
I don't remember that, but I remember being unbelievably excited when I saw that for like, the 10 seconds or whatever it was on. It was like amazing. I was like, oh my God.
The weird appearances of metal bands in movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I always got a kick out of that. So.
All right. Well, if you have to run, let's quickly.
Power Mad in that.
Yep.
Let's quickly. And that. Yeah. What movie was that?
Yeah, I think I got to run now.
All right. Well, let's grade this thing real quick. We like to give these albums grades. I don't know if we did that last time you were on, but
I don't think so.
Yeah. A through F grade. So.
With pluses and minuses.
Yeah. Hey, we do pluses and minuses. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can start. I'll give it an A minus. Just because there's a couple songs where like. But for the most
I'll
part.
bounce in here because for me, just like Navid, Beneath the Remains for him was his first introduction. This was my first introduction to Sepultura, and I got the nostalgic value of it. And I mean, throwing this thing back in was just like, it just a nice warm shower, There
you go.
But
nice golden
A
shower.
Across the board for me. I love this album. Okay. I mean, there are a couple filler songs, but so much of the shit that's going on, the technicality of it is just, it is an incredible album.
Well, this is the first Sepultura album for me too. But I'm going to go with an A minus.
Yeah.
I have nostalgia. Brings it up. But yeah, there's some parts that
don't need to be there.
As Jericho says, they're a little bit stock. So that brings it down a little bit. A minus. It's pretty good though. It's a good grade, guys. Don't feel bad.
No. Look,
not you, if they're listening.
If this was their last album ever, it might be an A+, but I know what's yet to come, so it's hard to
cheater.
I know KSAD is
that's
on
great
the horizon.
I think.
I'll give this an A minus as well. I think that's about how I feel about it too.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Very good.
Cool. All right, homies, I got to roll, but thank you for having me on. Always fun.
All right,
man, definitely.
Absolutely. Peace out, home slice.
Cool.
All right, man. We'll see.
Sounds like he's gonna go have more fun.
And he's gone.
He's gone.
All right. Should we end it?
I mean, as much as I did the extra work on this one, I don't have anything else really much more to say. So
okay,
yeah, I'm good on.
Oh, there was one more thing.
Uh-oh.
One more thing.
Okay.
Well, if you have the bonus version, the remastered version, there's a song called Intro.
Yes, I have that.
Which,
it's not the intro, is it?
No, and I don't know what the deal was there. I'm not sure if they intended to have that as an intro for the album and then they changed their mind. But it is the intro they used live on this.
I'll play a little bit of it. Let's see. What's that all about?
You hear these tracks, Keith?
I do not know.
Criminals in Uniform, I didn't dislike as much as I thought it would. Ooh. It sounds kind of Benders. Good drum fill.
Yeah.
I mean,
the riff is very generic.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't use that.
Yeah. I don't know what the deal is, if that was just intended to be for the live stuff, or if it was actually going to be the intro.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, weird.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if we're all good, then for Tim and for Joe and Keith and for Navid, this is Eric saying...
Thank you, good fucking night!
Energy, aggression, power. To sum it up, it's a vulgar display of power.
Heavy metal speaks to the anger and despair of teenagers today, the same way that the blues used to speak to the despair and anger in the South.
Cutting it up big time.
Some cunt's recording this.